Hey guys, this is Ali. Welcome back and thank you for watching these videos. Today we are going to deploy our ESXi host in our new built-in infrastructure. Since we already work on Active Directory and DNS, we did a little bit installation and a little bit configuration, whatever is required for this home lab. So right now we want to add a new ESXi host to our infrastructure. I do have two other ESXi hosts, but just for the sake of demonstration, I will go and deploy another ESXi host. Since this is a Chinese New Year, I apologize if there is any sounds in the background. They are celebrating their Chinese New Year. We wish they have a great New Year, and this year bring them happiness, health and wealth, everything they wish for. This is a goat year, by the way. The Chinese have their own ancient calendar, and every year they name by some kind of animals. So this year is a goat year. This was just for information. So let's go and start deploying our ESXi host. For that we need to create a new virtual machine. So what we do, we create a new virtual machine and just go for a typical, and okay, here the install, since we have ISO, so we browse to the ISO we need for this installation. I put it on the desktop just for easy pointing. This is VMware Hypervisor 5.5, the update one, I guess. So you need to browse to your ISO which will be installed on this virtual machine. Click next, give the name to your ESXi host. So ESXi 5.5-test. Actually, I won't be using this ESXi host. It is just for demonstration because I already have two ESXi hosts with me. And the place where you want to install it, I already have a repository for this one, so I can put it anywhere I want. It's a test. So VM directory, I make a new folder for this one, test. Okay, click next. Hard drive, depend on you how much you want to assign. I will go for this to store in a single file. Click next. If you want to customize your hardware, you just click on customize. You want to remove anything from here, you can remove that, or you want to add anything else, finish, and it will power on and it will straight go to the installer. So we choose the installer to install our ESXi host. Click enter. The installation will start. Your mouse cursor, if your mouse cursor will be locked here, so if you want to release your mouse cursor, just press Ctrl Alt and it will release your mouse cursor. So it's going. So once the initial setup complete, the binary will be uploaded and you will see this screen, which is a sign that everything is going well so far and our installation is on the way to completion. So just it's asking and giving you information about everything and asking if you want to continue, just press enter. So you'll press enter. Now the EULA, the end user license agreement, of course we have to accept it in order to complete our installation. Press F11. Now it will be scanning for all available devices on this virtual machine, or if we are doing any hardware, so it find out the hard disk is 40 gig. It's asking you whether it's okay to install everything on this one, and so we will hit enter to continue, or you can click on F1 for details, F5 for refresh. But if you are in an organization, of course there will be a lot of other hard drive connected, maybe LANs or any other hard disk connected to this ESXi host, so you have to be very careful to choose the required one. For example, if this is your standard to do the installation on the local disk, you have to choose the local disk. In the background, the local disk may be two other hard drives configured on a RAID level 1 or maybe any other RAID based on your company standards. So right now we only have one hard drive that is local, so we need to choose that and click enter, hit enter to continue. US default, of course, the keyboard language, the root password. So I give the root password here. It will be used to log in to the direct console user interface. They call it DCUI. So I configure my password. It must be complex password in order to secure your box, ESXi box. So click enter. It will again for search scan for the additional information. It will gather all the information. It will take a few moments. The scanning completed. So it's asking for if you really want to continue the installation, and just press F11 and the disk will be repartitioned. So yes, we want to do the installation. Press F11 and installation will complete. I will come back when the installation is at its final moments. So the installation is already on its final stage. It will ask for a reboot. So before we do the reboot, press Ctrl Alt to release the mouse and remove the media. So we go to settings and check here. Just for now we do disconnect the ISO from here. We hit enter, click on the screen and hit enter to reboot the ESXi host. So once the server reboot, we will do some basic configuration. So the server is coming up now. Alright, our server is already up and this is the initial screen. They call it DCUI, direct console user interface, where you will do the basic configuration for your ESXi host. What are the basic configuration? We have already did it in our previous video. So in order to do the basic configuration, you need to configure the IP, DNS and the host name, and if you want that this server need to be accessed through SSH or PuTTY, so you do all those kind of information for management. So right now, since we don't have any DHCP server on our home lab, we can provide a static IP. How to provide a static IP? Simply you need to press F2 to customize the system or view logs. You can also configure the logs and all those kind of things. So we press F2. Remember, we provide one password there. This password we have to use here to log into this screen. Alright, we already log in. Wait for a while or press F2. So here are the things you can configure. If you want to change or reset the root password, you can do from here. You just need to press scroll down, select the required option, press enter, and here you can give the old password and new. I don't want to change, I just press escape and go back to the screen. The most important thing is here, configure management network. You can configure network adapters, since we already have only one network adapter, but in actual organization you may have more than 4 network adapters, maybe 6 based on the standards. So in those network adapters, you have to select which network adapter you need to be in your management network. So you need to select that. Here on the same screen we can configure Vlan. If there is a requirement for management network to be a specific Vlan, you can configure it here. It's optional. You can also configure from the VI client. We will check on that later when we will be doing the configuration for our V switches and all those kind of stuff. So IP configuration, this is the most important one. You need an IP to access this ESXi host. So we need to provide static IP. Just come to the static IP bars and press spacebar to select the option. The static IP, you need to provide the IP whichever is configured in the DNS server. 0.250 for me is just a test lab, so it doesn't matter. But if you are working in an organization, make sure you ask your network admin which IP is configured for this ESXi host. Then you ask them the subnet mask and of course the default gateway in order for this ESXi host to communicate with other ESXi hosts in the cluster or in the organization. So 192.168.0.100, this is my IP. Press enter. Okay, we are good. And IP version 6, always remember that if you don't have any dual staking, you don't need IP version 6 to be enabled. Sometimes there is a problem in when the ESXi hosts do interaction with each other. So it's better if you are not using IP version 6, just disable it. Hit enter. DNS configuration, you need to provide the IP for your primary DNS. If you have any alternate DNS server, you provide the IP, and you need to provide the host name. Alright, hit enter. Okay, DNS suffix. So my DNS is newera.com. So alright, we are good. So right now we did some basic configuration here, and now you want to do exit. Press escape. It will ask you whether you accept all those configuration you have done. So of course we want that yes. Just press Y. It will restart the ESXi host. Always remember, when you disable the IP version 6, your host will get reboot. I saw that most of the time it will reboot the host. So our host is already up, and it also took the name and the IP. So let's go to check some other option. Press F2, provide the password for the root. We go through the configure and configure management network. You can do the restart management network if you configure something, and or if the ESXi host is not responding, so you can try restarting the management network. You can test your network just to check whether it's working or not. So right now we just bypass this network restore options. Configure keyboard layout, the US one, or you want any other language. If you go there, you can select so many in your own language which you understand, but we prefer English. Troubleshooting option, this is for the management. So you can enable the ESXi shell, and you can enable the SSH for PuTTY for the management to view the logs or to access remotely. You can enable these two services. However, if you really want to secure your ESXi box, and if you don't need these services, you don't have to enable it. So restart management agents, sometimes the host TD or the other services they hang for some reason. If your ESXi host is not PSOD, in Windows we call it blue screen of death. In the ESXi we call it purple screen of death. So if in that case, if because it's not a purple screen but it's hung somehow, so you can come and you start your management agents. You want to view the logs on the right hand side. You can see that there are system logs, VM kernel, and config, all those kind of logs, and you can view the support information here. This will be this is important because when you are adding your ESXi host to the vCenter, it will, once you provide the root username and password, there you will get a screen where it will show your SHA. So here is the SHA. You can compare the SHA you receive while you are adding to the vCenter and the actual SHA, which is here we can see from the direct console user interface. If they are same, we are good. So the SSH, GSA and RSA, those keys you can compare them. And this is the reset system configuration. It will go to 0 again for whatever, there will be no configuration at all. So we are good here. What's the important part here? The important part is once you configure your IPs and everything, you need to go to your DNS server and add your host or a record for this ESXi host and other for to communicate with the DNS server. This is all the videos how you are going to install your ESXi host.